Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. Yes, I know it's another video. I'm here and I'm thinking and somebody's tweeting me, and as they tweet me I get ideas, and so here I am. I'm also slightly annoyed by the Bill Clinton telling Tom Perez video, so let's go to war. Now, one of my subscribers, Laura Catherine Glennie, thank you very much. You're absolutely awesome. You're a beautiful person. Sent me a clip of a video that I've seen before, but I did not have access to the clip because I didn't necessarily know where the clip was. Thank you very sound. That's why I check my sound. That's why checklists work. That's why checklists work. Yeah, that's why checklists work. So first, let me start here. It's 11:01 p.m. on a Friday. Still at the helm. And I want to talk. I want to have a conversation. I'm awake. I'm lucid. Might as well use that time. Laura sent me a clip. This clip I had seen before, but I didn't necessarily know where I had seen it. Now, this clip is available on C-SPAN, so it's free to use, free for anybody to see, and I'm going to show this clip. This clip is of a man being wrong at the top of his lungs. It is possible a man being more wrong than he has ever been in the entirety of his life, and possibly more wrong than he would ever be for the rest of his life. This is a level of wrongness that is breathtaking to behold, and yet it is there nonetheless. Do you guys remember this?
In Illinois and Wisconsin, the voters who are most out there figuring out what to do are not the blue-collar Democrats. They are the college-educated Republicans who lean Republican or are independent and in the suburbs. And it's already won a large percentage of those people over. On the other hand, Trump is so new that for every, this is the second point, for every blue-collar Democrat we will lose in Western PA, we will pick up 2, 3 moderate Republicans in the suburbs of Philadelphia. And you can repeat that in Ohio and Illinois and Wisconsin. The voters who are most out there figuring out what to do are not the blue-collar Democrats. They are the college-educated Republicans who lean Republican or are independent and in the suburbs. And it's already won a large percentage of those people over. On the other hand, Trump is so new that for every, this is the second point, for every blue-collar Democrat we will lose in Western PA, we will pick up 2, 3 moderate Republicans in the suburbs of Philadelphia. And you can
Wall Street Chuck was magnificently wrong. He was magnificently wrong. This is the chart of what the United States looked like at the end of that election. These are by districts. But this gives you an idea that Chuck Schumer did not know what the hell Chuck Schumer was talking about. Pennsylvania, for the first time in 20, 30 years, went to the Republicans. Wisconsin went to the Republicans. When you look at the map, Hillary Clinton, yes, she got 3 million more votes, but those 3 million more votes were entirely in California. Chuck Schumer was dramatically, demonstratively, utterly, incomprehensibly wrong. He was absolutely wrong. Now, it is okay to be wrong. Everyone at some point is wrong in their life. The catch becomes, at which point in your wrongness do you kind of come to account and say, you know what, I can't keep doing this. I was wrong. I need to change how I'm going, because the feedback loop that I'm getting from life itself, it's not good. Like, it's demonstratively wrong. It's too much of a wrong that I need to come to Jesus. Democrats don't do that. In spite of being demonstratively wrong to this degree, their plan is this. right here. Red to blue, DCCC. The key to winning back the Democratic House is right here. The diverse candidates like those below. Red to Blue is a highly competitive and battle-tested program at the DCCC that arms the top-tier candidates with organization and fundraising support to help them continue to run strong campaigns. Come November, these campaigns will take the fight to Paul Ryan House Republicans, the fight to flip these seats from red to blue. The problem with this is, they're naming the candidates right off the bat, meaning these people are still in primary races. They're choosing who they themselves want. Who has the workable point of view of the Democratic Party? And how do we enforce that point of view all throughout the United States? Despite when we tried to do that before, it ended up looking like this. How do we do that? They're putting their thumb on the scale in one race after the next all throughout this country. And the people who they choose end up overwhelmingly, for whatever reason, just tend towards, these guys are corporatists. The lefties, the populists, the progressives. Bill Clinton telling Tom Perez, don't let Bernie Sanders supporters take over the DNC. Guess what? That also means all throughout the country. Don't let those people in. Don't let those people win. That has been the modus operandi of the party itself. And what it boils down to is they're red to blue lists. We're trying to convert these people from red to blue. But who are they using to try to convert those people from red to blue? It's people who are like them, like they currently are. The same group of people, status quo, who's lost everything. They handed this country over to maniacs. Now, why would they do this? Why would Chuck Schumer come out and say, we're going to get these Republicans? Why would you even, as a Democratic Party, try to get Republicans? You're the Democratic Party. I understand you want to bring people over to your side, but why on earth are you willing to give up your certain value system of sorts in order to get certain people over to your side, specifically the group that Chuck Schumer is talking about, Republicans? Why? And if you're trying to get Republicans, what does it mean for your other demographics of the party itself? What does it mean for the left? What does it mean for the left? What does it mean for the progressives of that party if you're reaching out for Republicans? What does it mean from the standpoint of the policies that you're trying to espouse and the party policies that you're trying to push forward? What does it mean for the left if you're reaching out as the Democratic Party for the right? What the point that I'm trying to get at is the red-blue strategy is, for all intents and purposes, Chuck Schumer's strategy for the election itself. They haven't changed the strategy. I suspect that the reason they don't want to change the strategy, even though there's this groundswell of support for lefties, meaning if you got a bunch of people who are lefties, if you got a bunch of people who are independents, your regular Democratic hacks will go along with you. You have a governing majority just moving to the left. You have to ask yourself, with such a groundswell of support for people like Sanders, why don't they do that? Why not? Why not? Why is it something that Sanders would do, but why isn't it something that the party wouldn't do it if it clearly would get them elected? Their electability would somewhat go up with this idea of galvanizing the party by merging the left and merging these elements of the corporate hacks of the party, who, for the most part, the hacks of the party would just go along with whatever the party goes with. What I'm saying is, you have a certain section of the party that it doesn't really matter what takes place, these people will vote Democrat. The people who you're trying to get is those slices of independence and that slice of the left who, for the most part, have just completely given up on the party. You guys have moved so far to the right that you guys have lost me. My hypothesis is that the reason why they move to the right is because they want Republican ideals. They assume that they've already cornered the left, meaning the left has nowhere else to go. So if they can corner or get people from the right and entice people from the right, that it doesn't really matter what takes place from the standpoint of the party at that point. The left has nowhere else to go. If they're espousing corporatist policies, if they're passing tax cuts and everything else, the person who they're enticing, who's supposed to be the Republican, likes those things. So they like it. They're in line with it. The lefties don't. But it doesn't really matter if the lefties don't, because the lefties have nowhere else to go. Blacks have nowhere else to go. Hispanics have nowhere else to go. Labor has nowhere else to go. As long as all of these groups don't recognize that the distribution of power in this relationship has shifted to one where the party itself is literally dictating the values to the rest of the population, where the party itself is literally dictating These are the people who we want to put in office. Your jobs as you sniveling bitches out there is just to vote for these people. Fuck democracy. We don't even want to give you the opportunity to choose who you want in your local districts all across the United States. We ourselves are making the choice, and we're going to put our thumb on the scales, so you only get to choose between the maniac and the person who we ourselves chose. The moment that you get into the main election, the maniac versus our person, meaning you're still in this thing of least worse again, of choosing between some corporate hackers, a maniac. This is the strategy all throughout the United States. The reason why they want Republicans, in a nutshell, is because they believe that they already have these other situations cowed. Blacks, Hispanics, labor, cowed. The political equivalent of abused spouses, cowed. You can beat me, you can slap me, I'll still be here in the morning, I'll still make you a ham sandwich before you go to work. It doesn't matter what you do to me. When I talk to people, I'll say I fell down with the black guy, I fell down the elevator shaft, I tripped down the steps. I know he's a bad person, I know he sleeps with the maid, I know he sniffs coke, I know he drinks alcohol too much, I know he's an alcoholic, drug addict, but I have nowhere else to go, so I stay. The political equivalent of an abused spouse. What I would ask of the people who are involved in this process that allowed this to go on, meaning the cowed left, is that nothing will ever change in this country as long as you stay cowed. As long as you allow them to treat you in this way, as long as you allow them to run roughshod, this idea of these people would be there, we can browbeat them into, doing whatever we want. We're going to go for the Republicans. That's what we're going to do. As long as you allow them to institute policies like this, and they're doing this openly, red to blue, they're doing it openly. They're bashing lefties all throughout the country, openly. As long as you allow this to take place and you stand by and allow yourself to be hit over the head, allow yourself to be cowed, allow Bill Clinton to tell Tom Perez to keep lefties out the party, and then you still continue to stay in the party. As long as you allow that to take place, then it will take place. Until you bare your teeth, nothing changes. If that means you feel cheated that you run in the race like Tim Canova is doing as an independent outside of it, then that's what you do. If the Democrat loses in that, sad day. You shouldn't have cheated me when I ran in the race. There is a difference between whining and crying and complaining that you're being cheated and disenfranchised as opposed to actually doing something about it. Solidarity of no makes the point of we're done. Go get your Republicans. I'm done. For all these people who are talking about protesting and everything else, protesting to what end? Protesting to what end? You protest, so what? You're never in a situation where you're willing to let them lose. And until you're in a situation where you're willing to let them lose, your protesting is for naught. It doesn't matter. You can bitch, you can moan, you can cry, you can scream. This is the TYT thing that I talk about. You can bitch, you can moan, you can cry, you can scream, you can bash, you can complain. All that stuff is great. But when it comes down to it, you're going to tell your audience to vote Clinton. As long as you're willing to kowtow to this will continue to persist. And I understand that it's scary to go into the wilderness of saying, I'm done, come what may. But unless you want actual change in this country, that's where you need to be. Until the Democratic Party realizes from a flesh-to-bone way, realizing it in a way that human beings realize breathing, that they can lose and that they will lose and they will consistently lose because people's value system has gotten to the point, or their wokeness has gotten to the point where they would not allow them to persist in the way that they're persisting, coming with these neoliberal policies of this idea that markets are more important than human beings. And one policy after the next espouses that. Your standard of living is chosen by you. What you as a human being believes should be the floor of the society is chosen by you. That's our choice. That's our collective choice. The Democrats are selling you a bill of goods. There can be other changes in this country. You can have an employee guaranteed thing for the federal government that pays $15 a wage. That will transform this country overnight. Literally. Think about the income inequality that are in certain areas. Think about the people not able to get jobs. You have like a 40-50% unemployment rate in places like Baltimore. The private sector is not in the business of giving you a job. Understand what I am saying. Full stop. Be very clear what I'm saying here. The private sector is only going to give you a job if the private sector can make a buck off of giving you that job. It doesn't care about the social implications of what it does. It doesn't care about whether or not it can put people in factories. It doesn't care about any of that stuff. Can I make money off of employing this particular person or that person? And if that answer is no, then that person is going to be impoverished and that person is going to be poor. Poverty is ensconced into the system because you're never going to have a system that has that. Ultimately, the private sector is only in the business of maximizing their profit. They're not in the business of just giving jobs willy-nilly. When Republicans and Democrats are talking about these tax cuts, this stuff is nonsense. Those tax cuts are going in their pockets. They're not in the business of giving you a job. If the federal government comes out and says, fine, the private sector is either unwilling or unable to give this job, we'll do it. We will be the employer of last resort. And we're going to put money in the bottom of the economy and allow that money to bobble up to the top. That's what they should do. That's creative. Creative is going back to FDR. But it's something. It's one of those things that makes sure that people have jobs. Other jobs that people are doing that they hate, miserable jobs, getting paid like $10 an hour, they can't live, immediately would have to revamp the way they go about their affairs when the federal government is saying they're going to guarantee you a $15 a minimum wage or $15 job. You don't have to fuck with minimum wage laws. Right off the bat, those people will leave those jobs if they're not going to get the same quality of work that they're doing with the federal government. I'm saying that your party has sold you a bill of goods in regards to what can take place. They put in a right-wing healthcare plan and had you out there fighting for that right-wing healthcare plan. You run this and millions of people are still without healthcare. Your Democratic Party has sold you a bill of goods. That's what I'm saying. The party has been tepid and is giving you this kind of corporatist version of the world. And because they're considered to be the left, they're considered to be that's as far as you can go. You're being sold a bill of goods. There are multiple programs that can be instituted that would revamp this country. Do you understand having this $15 of the federal job program? What about the infrastructure in this country that needs to be rebuilt? What about vertical farming? This idea of having cheap, nutritious food in these food deserts all throughout the United States. What about solar panels in the people's houses, like building and creating those things and make sure that each and every person doesn't necessarily have to pay an electric bill because the federal government has made sure with labor that they can get those things done in each place in the United States. Maybe you get a tax discount or whatever else, but each and every place gets this thing of getting their house energy set up in a way that they don't necessarily have to be purely dependent on this kind of central thing. Yes, in my head, I'm in a business of I want people to be free, meaning I need their needs to be met. Even if it's at a basic level, I need their needs to be met. And if a federal jobs guarantee allows people to do something where the federal government can do those type of things, all for it. Even if it doesn't go to that particular far, further to the left at most, still, you've revamped your society. I'm making a point to you that the Democratic Party has sold you somewhat of a conservative platform. If you were in any other country in Europe, this would be a conservative party. You've been sold the bill of goods. I'm going to leave it at that. I don't want this one to go too long, and this one has gone too long. It's like 18 minutes. All I'm saying, that's an awesome clip. They're instituting a similar policy that they did before. Lefties are left in the lurch in this because they just assume that they're going to get the 90% support of blacks. They're going to get the Hispanics who are desperate to not be kicked out of the country and have their family kicked out of the country. They're going to get labor who are terrified that Republicans are going to go after them. And the entirety of the process, they can just go after right-wing votes, knowing that they have the left cowed. That's what your party is doing right now. So I'm not going to keep this one. I don't want this one to go too long. Are there people here? There are people here. All right. So I'm not going to keep this one long. Look, I think the point should be freedom. And there's no such thing as freedom without, at the very least, your needs being met. It doesn't exist. Free to do what? Be broke on the street, starving without health care. Freedom is having your needs met. Freedom is not being stuck working 20 hours or 40, 50, 60 hours at a job that you absolutely hate, using all of your time and your energy, and then putting it to somebody else to make $1 for somebody else when you're getting a penny out of the process. That's the opposite of freedom. That's you choosing a plantation and thinking because you can choose your plantation that you're somehow free. That is not freedom. That's something else. At the very least, we the people should work to make sure that each and every person, each and every one of us have our needs met. And if that means us devoting resources from the standpoint of the federal government to supply systems, automated systems, self-automated systems that allow those things to work in that direction, that is a different America. That's a different country. And even at a tepid low level to the left, that is where we should be trying to go. So I will leave it at that. I don't want this one to be long. I got a clip from Laura and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I got a clip from Laura and I thought that was awesome. So I wanted to talk about it. Chuck Schumer's plan, Chuck Schumer being demonstratively wrong, loud and wrong at the top of his lungs, definitively wrong. And just to be clear, Chuck Schumer, and let's hear Chuck Schumer while we look at the map.
Repeat that in Ohio and Illinois and Wisconsin. The voters who are most out there figuring out what to do are not the blue-collar Democrats. They are the college-educated Republicans who lean Republican or are independent and in the suburbs. And it's already won a large percentage of those people over. On the other hand, Trump is so new that for every, this is the second point, for every blue-collar Democrat we will lose in Western PA, we will pick up 2, 3 moderate Republicans in the suburbs of Philadelphia. And you can repeat that in Ohio and Illinois and Wisconsin. The voters who are most out there figuring out what to do are not the blue-collar Democrats. They are the college-educated Republicans who lean Republican or are independent and in the suburbs.